My fiancée once told me, "Please don't pick me up in that car again. It makes me look cheap." I didn't argue. I just nodded and said, "Sure." I didn't replace the car. I upgraded something else instead. When she stepped out of her office and saw what was parked in her usual spot, she froze. She didn't move or say a word for a full 10 seconds. "My name's Dennis. I'm early 30s. And 5 weeks ago, I learned that sometimes the trash really does take itself out. You just have to create the right moment for it to happen." Viola and I had been together for 4 years and engaged for 3 months. We met at a charity fundraiser. She worked there in event planning, and I was volunteering that night. She was put together, self-assured, and seemed to know everyone in the room. That confidence pulled me in right away. We started dating, and for the first 2 years, everything felt steady and good. Then we got engaged, and something changed. Viola started making remarks. At first, they were subtle. "You should dress a little nicer when we go out with my coworkers. Have you ever thought about getting a better suit? My friends' partners all drive much nicer cars." I laughed it off. She worked in luxury event planning and dealt with wealthy clients every day. I figured being focused on appearances came with the territory. I didn't take it to heart, but the comments kept coming and growing. 2 months ago, I picked her up after a work dinner in my car. A 6-year-old Ford Focus. Dependable, fully paid off, great on gas. Not impressive, but it did its job. She barely said a word the entire drive home. Her tone was distant, almost icy. The next morning, while we were having coffee, she finally said it. "Please don't pick me up in that car again. It makes me look cheap." I looked up from my phone, confused. "What? Your car, Dennis? It's embarrassing. My coworkers watched me get into a decade-old Ford. Do you even know what they drive?" She continued. "Do you understand what that says about us?" "It says we're practical," I replied. "The car works perfectly. It's paid off." She shook her head. "It says you don't care about how we present ourselves." "I'm trying to build a name in this industry. Image matters. Everything matters," she added. "I'm not buying a new car just because your coworkers are judgmental," I said. She let out a long sigh. Like I was the pro. "I'm not asking for a Range Rover, just something that doesn't look like you're still in college. Can you at least think about it?" I just stared at her. "Sure," I said. And that was the end of it, but inside, something shifted. This had nothing to do with the vehicle. She didn't see me as an equal. She saw me as a project, something to upgrade and polish, so I'd fit better into her world. I wasn't her partner. I was her accessory. And once I realized that, I started noticing everything. The comments kept coming. She talked about how her friend's fiancé had just made partner at his firm, how another couple bought a house in the right neighborhood. She mentioned someone's engagement ring and how it was at least 3 carats. Every conversation felt like a scoreboard, and I was always behind. 3 weeks after the car conversation, we went to her office holiday party. The venue was upscale, the bar was open, and everyone looked like they were dressed for a red carpet event. I wore my best suit. Not a designer label, but clean, tailored, and sharp. Viola introduced me to her boss and a few coworkers. I could feel her stiffness. She stood just slightly in front of me, like she was shielding herself. One of her coworkers, a guy named Bertie, asked what I did for work. I told him I was a senior data analyst at a mid-sized tech company. Solid job. Good income, nothing flashy, but dependable. Bertie smiled and nodded. "Nice, nice," he said. "Viola's always saying how grounded you are." Grounded. The word hit me wrong. It sounded like code for unremarkable, like I was the safe, boring option she settled for. Later that night, as we drove home in my embarrassing Ford, she was glued to her phone, smiling at her screen. "Who's that?" I asked. "Just Mary," she said. "She's sending pictures from tonight. Did you have a good time?" "It was fine," she replied. "It would have been better if we'd shown up in something a little more presentable." There it was again. I tightened my grip on the steering wheel and stayed quiet. The final straw came a week later. Viola had a major client event on Friday night. She asked me to pick her up afterward. Since she'd be drinking, I said yes. But this time, I had a plan. Update number 1. I didn't buy a new car. Instead, I made a phone call. Younger brother Carl is obsessed with cars. He restores classic ones on the side and keeps a small collection. One of them is a 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle. Perfect condition. Deep red paint. Shiny chrome. The kind of car people stop and stare at. He almost never drives it. It's usually reserved for shows and special events. I called him Tuesday morning. Carl, I need a favor. What kind of favor? Can I borrow the Chevrolet on Friday night? The Chevelle? He said. Are you serious? It's a long story. I'll explain later. Just trust me, he hesitated. That car is his pride and joy. You're not going to mess it up, right? I'll treat it like my firstborn. I swear. He paused, then sighed. All right. But you owe me. Friday arrived. I told Viola I'd be outside her office at PM. She replied with the thumbs up emoji. No questions. No curiosity. Just assumption. I picked up the Chevrolet from Carl around 6 and drove it carefully back home. Parked it safely in my garage. At T5:30, I got ready. I wore the same suit from the holiday party. Nothing flashy. Then I headed to her office. Her building had a circular driveway out front, with reserved spots near the entrance for executives and VIPs. I pulled the Chevrolet right up to the curb. The engine rumbled low. The chrome reflected the streetlights. I texted her, I'm outside. She replied, be down in 5. I waited, turned off the engine, and leaned casually against the car. A few people walking by slowed down to stare. One guy in a suit actually stopped, pulled out his phone, and snapped a photo. I didn't react at all. I just waited. At 6:07, the doors of the building swung open. Viola stepped out in a black cocktail dress, her heels tapping against the pavement. She was staring at her phone, not looking where she was going. Then she glanced up, saw the car, and stopped mid-step. She didn't blink for a full 10 seconds. She just stood there, frozen. I could almost see the gears turning in her head. The car, me leaning against it, and the realization that this definitely wasn't my Ford. I opened the passenger door. You ready? She walked over slowly, like she was in a daze. Dennis, whose car is this? My brother's, I said. He let me borrow it for tonight. This is a Chevrolet Chevelle. Yep. Why didn't you tell me you could? She cut herself off, clearly realizing how that sounded. Get in. Let's go. She slid into the seat, her eyes still darting around the interior like it wasn't real. I shut her door, walked around, got in, and started the engine. The deep rumble echoed off the walls of the building. Glanced toward the lobby. Her coworkers were watching through the glass. A couple of them had their phones out. We drove without saying a word for about 5 minutes. Then she broke the silence. Why didn't you ever tell me your brother had a car like this? You never asked about my brother's cars. I didn't know he was into this kind of thing. There's a lot you don't know, I said. Because you never ask, she went quiet. I could feel her recalculating, trying to understand what this moment meant. This is amazing, she finally said. I mean, this is exactly what I was talking about. A car with real presence. This isn't my car, Viola, I know, she said quickly. But still, maybe you could ask Carl if you could borrow it more often. She paused, then added. Or maybe you could look into getting something like this for yourself. I didn't answer. I just kept driving. Update number 2. We got back to my place around 11. Viola was upbeat, almost giddy. She talked nonstop about the event. About how people stared at the car. About how Bertie from her office had texted her asking about the Chevrolet. He wants to know if you'd ever sell it, she said, laughing. I told him it's your brother's. But seriously, Dennis, this kind of thing makes an impression. You saw how people reacted. Yeah, I said. I saw. She either didn't notice the edge in my voice, or she noticed and ignored it. The next morning, Saturday, we were eating breakfast when she brought it up again. So I've been thinking, she said. What if we looked into getting you a car like that? Or at least something in that range. It doesn't have to be vintage, she continued. Just something sporty, something that stands out. I'm not buying a new car. Why not? You make good money. You could handle a solid down payment. I don't need a new car, I said. The Ford works, but it doesn't present well, she replied. Last night proved that. You saw how people reacted to the Chevrolet. That's the energy we need. I asked. She hesitated. Yes. We're getting married, Dennis. We're a unit. How you present yourself reflects on both of us, and how I present myself isn't good enough for you. That's not what I said. It's exactly what you've been saying, for months. I continued. My car is embarrassing. My watch isn't good enough. My job isn't impressive. I'm constantly coming up short compared to whatever image you're chasing. Dennis, don't be so dramatic, she said. I'm not, I replied. I'm just finally listening. I'm trying to help you reach your potential. My potential? I said. Viola, I like my life. I like my job. I like my car. You're the only one who has a problem with any of it. She set her coffee mug down hard on the table. If you're happy being mediocre, that's on you, she said. But don't pull me down with you. Then don't, I said. If I disappoint you so much, why are you with me? She opened her mouth, closed it, then tried again. Because I love you. But love isn't everything. Compatibility matters. Values matter. And ours don't line up. Apparently not. We stared at each other across the table. And in that moment, something settled in my chest. Clarity. Maybe we should rethink this engagement, I said. Her eyes went wide. What? You just said our values don't match. You think I'm mediocre. You're embarrassed by me. So why would we get married? I never said I was embarrassed by you. You did, I said. Over and over. The car, the watch, the job. Everything about me needs an upgrade to meet your standards. I'm exhausted, Viola. So you're throwing away 3 years because I want us to present better? I'm not throwing anything away, I said. I'm realizing you don't want me. You want a version of me that isn't real. She stood up. You're being ridiculous. One comment about a car, and you're ending everything? It wasn't one comment, I said. It was months of them. It was the constant message that I'm not enough. I'm done trying to become someone else for you. Fine, she snapped. If that's how you feel, maybe we should take a break. Not a break, I said. We're done. Update number 3. Viola moved out that weekend. She packed her things. She left the ring on the kitchen counter. Later, she sent me a long message about how I was making a huge mistake and would regret letting her go. I didn't reply. The first week alone felt strange. Too quiet. I kept expecting a call or a text, something to undo it all. It never came. The following Saturday, Carl came by to pick up the Chevrolet. I told him everything. He listened, nodded, and then said, "Man, you dodged a bullet." He was right. A car is just a car, and if she couldn't see past that, she was never worth it. I know. It still hurts, but it won't forever. Want to grab a beer? Yeah, I said. Let's do it. 2 weeks after the breakup, Viola's friend Mary reached out to me. We'd always gotten along, and I'd long suspected she wasn't a fan of Viola's attitude. She asked if we could meet up for coffee. I agreed. We met at a cafe near her apartment. She looked uneasy the whole time, fiddling with her cup and avoiding eye contact. I need to tell you something, she said. And I think you deserve to know. Hey, Viola's been seeing Bertie, the guy from her office. I blinked. When did that start? I'm not totally sure, she said. But from what I've figured out, they've been flirting for a while. Maybe a few months. I don't think anything physical happened before you broke up, she added. But emotionally, she was already halfway gone. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because you shouldn't feel guilty for ending it, she said. She was always going to leave. She was just waiting for the right excuse, or the right person to jump to. You calling off the engagement probably saved you from something much worse later. I leaned back, letting it sink in. Did Bertie know about me? I think so, she said. And he definitely does now. They've been pretty open about it. Wow. I'm really sorry, Dennis, she said. You deserved better, thanks, I said. I appreciate you being honest with me. We finished our coffee. She hugged me goodbye and told me to take care of myself. That was 6 weeks ago. From what I've heard, Viola and Bertie are still together. Mutual friends say they're already talking about moving in together. It's fast, but it doesn't surprise me. Viola always needed to be in a relationship. She needed the validation. For me, I've been okay. Better than okay, actually. The apartment feels lighter without her in it. I'm not constantly questioning myself anymore. I'm not wondering if I measure up. I'm just living, and it feels good. Carl and I have been spending more time together. He's been teaching me about restoring cars. I'm even thinking about starting a project of my own. Nothing fancy, just something to work on in my spare time. Last week, I ran into one of Viola's old coworkers at the grocery store. Her name was Dora. She'd always seemed kind. She recognized me and came over to talk. I heard about you and Viola, she said. I'm sorry it didn't work out. Thanks, I replied. But honestly, it's for the best. For what it's worth, she said. I always thought she cared too much about appearances. You seem like a good guy. Grounded, there was that word again. But this time, it didn't sting. I appreciate that, I said. And that Chevrolet you showed up in that night? She added. It was incredible. My husband still talks about it. I laughed. It's my brother's. I was just borrowing it. Well, it definitely made an impression, she said. On everyone, including Viola, I think. Maybe, I said. But it wasn't enough to make her value what we had. Dora nodded. Her loss. That day, something finally clicked for me. Viola wanted me to upgrade the car because she thought it would fix what was wrong. But the car was never the problem. She was. Her values. Her priorities. Her obsession with surface-level status. I didn't need a better car. I needed a better relationship. And I got one by walking away. I'm not angry. I'm not bitter. I'm just relieved. Relieved I saw the truth before we got married. Relieved I trusted my instincts. Relieved I'm not spending my life trying to impress someone who never would have been satisfied. And for the record, the Ford is still running just fine. It still gets me where I need to go. And that's enough. A lot of people asked if I ever confronted Viola about Bertie. I didn't. When Mary told me, it only confirmed what I already knew. Viola was never fully committed. Whether it was Bertie specifically, or just the idea of someone better, she was always looking for an upgrade. Confronting her wouldn't have changed anything. She would have denied it or justified it, and the outcome would have been the same. So I let it go. For anyone wondering about the Chevrolet, no, I didn't buy one. Carl lets me borrow it once in a while for special occasions. But I'm focused on my own project now. I'm thinking about a '76 Pontiac, something I can build with my own hands, something that's mine. It's not about impressing anyone anymore. It's about creating something real. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.